welcome to the Royal Geek Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Rollison, also known as T-Roll, and tonight I am joined by my very good friend, and who's it going to be? Because it's a game of musical chairs on this podcast as of late. Justin Sandoval returning to the podcast, a.k.a. Sandy. How's it going, brother?
Hey, glad to be back. I was a little confused because when I listened to the podcast last week, you said you weren't going to be here, but yet I'm sitting in front of you.
Like I said, musical chairs.
Yeah, that's
musical
pretty
chairs.
pretty wild.
So, unfortunately, no Shimano tonight. Anthony Amato could not make it. We gave him a much-needed day off because he works so much for the pod. Literally is here more consistently than either of us. Certainly me.
Oh,
I think
definitely.
he's probably number one, you're number two, and then I'm a distant third.
Yes, agreed,
Yep.
100%.
But you guys asked me to host this thing for some reason, so
Because you got the sultry voice. That's what it is. Yeah,
thank you for that.
The intro is just so good. Can't imagine it any other way.
I've been meaning to work on the intro, but that's all right. Dude,
Yeah, we're here.
Severance.
Let's get into it, man.
Are you ready for this?
I mean, take care of business, and then we'll get into this.
Business, friends, family, loved ones, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. We really do appreciate it, seriously. I want to remind you to please subscribe to the podcast wherever you are listening from. And if you want to really help us out, here's what you can do. Hit that share button and send this podcast to a friend of yours who is watching Severance. If you're watching Severance, you're talking to somebody who's watching Severance. Am I right, Sandy?
Oh, absolutely. I can't stop thinking about this, and if I can't stop thinking about it, I'm sure lots of other people watching this can't stop.
Other people are watching it. Other friends of yours are watching it. So send them this podcast, okay? Please do that. That helps us out a lot. Okay. This is episode 6 called Attila.
Attila, yeah.
Attila. All right. Well, here's your spoiler warning, ladies and gentlemen. This is your spoiler warning. Should we give them a little context, Justin?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Peel the curtain back a little bit. We record this podcast on Friday nights, typically, right?
Yes, we do.
But tonight is a Thursday. And Severance has been coming out on Thursday nights, I believe at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And so we decided to actually get together, mostly because of availability.
Scheduling,
Scheduling availability of a certain one or two members of the podcast, one being me, another one being Shimano, who's not here. We weren't able to do Friday this week, which is our tradition. So we're cramming this in on Thursday night. It's a school night. It's a work night.
We got to be up in 6 hours.
Got to be up really soon. But we're committed to the pod, y'all. We are committed to this freaking pod.
Always.
We are as committed to this pod as Rigabi is at killing Mark Scout.
She really
Dude,
does. It feels
rough.
that way. Oh, God.
This is looking rough. Okay, dude. Where do we even begin?
Oof. Do you want to do characters again? I feel like going role by role, like character by character, seems to be the easiest way to
I think
maneuver through this wildness.
Maybe overall, if I had to say, this episode wasn't as good as the last one, generally, because I think the last one had a lot more. Actually, no, there's some sick.
This episode was this episode was really good. So
It's similar in the sense that, well, actually, the last episode we said last week felt more depth of characters than moving the story forward.
right.
In this one, there was some more story moving forward, especially with Mark.
This episode was
Marks.
This episode was a shotgun blast of information. Like there was a lot going on.
Shotgun blast of information and some morality questions.
Correct.
And
Yes.
truth questions.
Values and all this. Yes.
Yeah.
Oof.
This is wild. And some spirituality. Oh
I know.
my gosh.
That came out of left field.
This is getting crazy, dude. Okay. Yeah, I don't know where to start. Can I start with a sex offender? Can we just start with a sex offender?
Please.
Okay. Let's just start with Helena.
Okay, Helena.
Look, I know there was stuff happening with Helly, obviously. Helly wanted her.
She wanted her taste.
Dude, this is wild. I don't even know how to talk about this. We'll talk about Helena and Helly. We'll talk about that.
Okay,
Sure. That body.
Mm-hmm. The body. Yeah.
And the two
Personas.
/ maybe souls. Which again, we're gonna get into this later.
Like full deep mode right here.
All right, but let's talk about. Okay, were you surprised that Mark S. Innie came clean to Helly in
Uh,
a bathroom stall, by the way.
I feel like he
Ben
was.
Roethlisberger over
I
here.
know that was so. No. Oh. Anyway,
Did it surprise you?
it surprised me that it happens like this episode. I really thought it was gonna be like a finale thing. Like, oh, by the way, like we did something.
I kind of thought it would have happened sooner
Oh,
or
okay.
later.
Yeah.
No, I mean like last episode
Mhm.
or like much later.
Okay.
Yeah, because any Mark changed from what we saw last episode to this episode. Like when they had the little powwow, him, Dylan, and Helly.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he's like all of a sudden down for the espionage thing again. You
Right.
know?
Focus, driven.
Yeah, out of nowhere. Like I didn't necessarily understand that, but he comes clean to Helly, and of course, can you blame her?
No, she was. I mean, she had every
Heartbroken.
right to react the way she did. She needed space. She went to go take a walk, take a walk down the halls.
Yeah.
And she found a corner to sit in, and she did chuckle. Like she laughed for a little bit of like, what the heck is going on? Like it was one of those.
All the stages of grief.
Yeah,
man.
I have no choice but to laugh about this situation. Yeah, but it was wild, man, because she eventually gathers her thoughts and then comes back to Mark, or they go to each other, I guess, right? Like as she's getting ready to head to Mark's
Found
heading
each
to
other
her.
in the hallway.
Right. Oof.
Great place to find a partner.
Sure. Dude,
If
I-
not a bathroom stall, why not a hallway?
I did not see that conversation going the way it did, where she's like, "It's okay. I've thought about it. I'm just really upset."
Yeah.
And it really came down to Mark's like, "Do you want me to describe it to you?" And she's like,
Dude, wasn't that crazy? Oh no, we shared vessels.
"Oh yeah, that's right. We
Bro,
shared
you said
vessels."
that we were watching this together. You're
Yeah.
like, right when the episode ends, he's like, we share. You said we shared vessels.
That's the one way to describe it, man. Oh
Oh.
my gosh. But she's like, no, I want my own memories of this. And when that happened, I believe I also was like very audible, like, oh dang, like
Wow.
she wants it.
Just
She wants it that
Mark's
bad.
like, dang, all right, look
Yeah.
at me. Honestly, if you're Mark S,
Yeah.
man, win-win.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, like
Well, for any Mark, yeah.
that's if you're Mark S,
Yes.
not Mark Scout.
Yep.
Mark S. They're different.
Yes, true.
One's a human,
Yeah.
and according to Lumen, one is not.
That's
But according to the Lutheran Church,
one.
they're both human.
souls.
They're both souls. Anyways, no. If you're Mark S, you messed up, right? Like the woman who loves you, you couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah,
But that is a hard place to be.
it is. And he reiterated over and over again of
Thought it was you.
I thought it was you. I
Yeah.
thought it was you. I wanted it to be you. So
And honestly, like outside of maybe however long she was in the hallway by herself,
yeah.
like it didn't take long for her to come around. That's what I'm saying, win-win, because it's like it seems like he's past that.
Yeah, and I believe she did drop the line of like, "You wanted me." Like,
That's right.
yeah, she
You
was like,
thought it was me.
"You
which
thought it was
means
me."
you want me.
Yes, correct.
And again, we mentioned this whenever that episode was, but like Helena on the Ortbo,
Yes,
like, dude, sexually assaulted this guy.
she did.
She targeted
She
him.
took advantage.
Took advantage of
Yeah.
him.
Oof.
It's. I mean,
That-
again,
that-
the morality of
she-
this.
Yeah, well, we'll get to her in a second too, because she's continuing that morality of everything. It's
yeah.
really crazy and creepy.
But first, the office sex scene.
Oh yeah,
What everyone wants us to talk about here in the
they make their
podcast.
own tent.
Made their own tent.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yep, and then they're like little high schoolers under the bleachers, man. Like,
And here's my favorite thing about this. Earlier in this episode, Milchick is talking to Miss Wong, and he's like, I trust that you'll be able to handle overseeing or stewarding everything today.
yeah, on the floor. Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I got this. It's
Where
like,
was she? The whole floor.
Yeah. Well, again, I think she had to have been supervising Dylan.
Yeah, well, he was the meet with his wife.
Again,
We'll get
stuff to talk
We'll
about
get
there as
there.
well, dude.
We'll get there.
Stuff to talk about there as
Oh,
well.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so they pitched their own tent in an abandoned office space.
Dude, yeah, abandoned office space or new office space. I don't know.
They had sex.
They did.
They're walking out of there with
The walk of
sex
shame.
hair.
The walk
Yeah,
of
yeah.
shame.
Dude, for sure.
Yes.
But let's talk on the outside. Let's go back to Helena, okay?
Oof, wow.
So, what the heck?
Dude. Okay, so
Mark Scout, Audi,
yes.
enjoying just some,
Chinese
Chinese,
food.
Asian food, something.
He's a little distressed because he's going through
Stress eating for sure.
Yeah, he's going through reintegration, and
Yeah.
so he just had to get out of the house.
Yep.
And he went to this Chinese restaurant. Man, and when I first saw the shadowy, like the way the camera was, it was not focused, and the shadowy figure sit down in front of him.
You knew who it was.
I was like, oh my gosh, please don't be her. Why would this be her? And then it focuses, and Mark's face, just a look on his face, like, am I seeing what I'm seeing right now? Like, is she really here?
Okay. And he knows her. He knows who she is because he's being reintegrated? Or because he's just. And he knows who she is because she's.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, I feel like he should not know who she is.
He almost ran her over in season 1. Didn't recognize her then.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, maybe he has seen news about, when she got drunk at that party.
Okay, that might be why.
Maybe.
He knows who she is.
He got a company email.
I think I can get behind that. Because other than that, I don't think he should know.
I don't think he should either.
I think that should have been a major red flag for her of like, how does he know? He's like, I know who you are. Like, she should have had all these bells and whistles go off in her mind. Like, he shouldn't know who I am. He shouldn't.
Right. Yeah.
But she didn't appear to have that. She didn't appear to have any inclination of there's something suspicious going on here with Mark. But so she casually started talking to him, and I thought it was the creepiest thing ever because to me it seemed very desperate. I don't know. Did you pick up that same vibe of being desperate?
Yes.
Okay.
But I still, there's such a mystery for me of like, what is her play here? Is it just that she really likes him?
Dude,
Which could be.
Mark's got to be packing, dude, because
Dude,
she's coming for it, man.
Maybe. I don't know, dude. Like, there's something here. Like, she's either just like madly, crazily obsessed with him.
And the only reason for that is because she is an emotional connection that she's not familiar with. That's
Which
the only
she
reason.
alluded to when they were kind of flirting.
Yeah.
Seemed like he was flirting a little bit there, too.
He'd be my first to bring to dad.
Yeah. Which she said maybe you should meet him sometime. Which, by the way, nobody meets Jamie Megan.
No.
From what I've learned.
Yeah.
Not even the
board.
well, yeah, but I was going to say in season 1, the senator or the congressman or whatever.
That's right. That's right.
He's like, if you see your father, tell him I said, hey. Like, nobody gets the time with Jamie Megan.
Right.
You know? But anyways, yeah, she alluded to the fact that she's like, we know this, man. She's either been like, I don't know if they're like forcing her to just like live in a room. Like, I don't know what the deal is, but she has no life. It feels like.
That's the impression that we're getting from that.
So take several episodes back. She sees the video of her innie kissing Mark. She wants that. Again, that could be the theory of why she went down.
Right.
The board, Drummond, Milchick, they all knew like they were doing the Glasgow lock. So they knew that Helena was down there.
Right.
But they have still never made it really clear if Helena was like there on mission she had her own side mission.
Yeah.
Or like if she was just using her powers to get some.
I think when the OTC initiative happened and she was at the gala, I think her mission, quote unquote, is she's just trying to up the company's show that the company is doing well by Severance program works so well, I'm doing it myself. Yeah. And I think it's just a big political move, power move, based on just the gala alone, just trying to establish Severance outside of this little town that they're in. It's to globalize it, essentially.
Yes. But specifically to when she went down undercover and didn't sever the Glasgow lock, like
I think that was her own initiative.
She was doing a power.
Well, no, I think it was because she saw Helly experience something that she's never experienced before in her life, and it's feelings and emotions, and I think that she wanted that. I think I'd be willing to.
And because she is who she is, she was able to pull that off.
Yeah, all she had to do is go up to Milchick. I'm doing this. There's nothing you can do about it, and don't tell my dad. That's easy. But then Drummond. But then Drummond. He would tell, and he would know. So
I feel like there was something more.
Yeah.
So, anyways, okay. Despite that, it's just weird. Her showing up at the Chinese restaurant.
Yes.
Or Asian restaurant of some sort. It was
awkward, strange. She had no business being there. Especially, she even drops the line, "It's basically my company."
Yeah.
And why would you be at this crummy Chinese restaurant by yourself if you were
Bro.
not intentionally stalking Mark?
So it's either she's obsessed with him
Mm-hmm.
or she was there to try to maybe get some info on behalf of the company, or
Yeah.
the reckless theory is she's trying to, in some way, to stick it to her dad. I don't know.
Interesting.
But
Okay.
so we got some thoughts from our boy Gibbs.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
Ryan. No Ryan's rants here. We actually were hoping to get him to be on this pod. Couldn't make it work. Gibbs, we know you're listening. We love you. He said he said that he thinks that Helena/Helly is definitely pregnant.
Okay.
He says this is why she came to him at the restaurant and mentioned meeting her dad
Oh my goodness.
and seemed a little more free and less measured, which she
She
did.
did. She was awkwardly smiling.
Way less
Way
measured.
too smiley.
Yeah. Seems like Helena kind of wants to stick it to her dad.
Mm.
I kind of run the company, is what she says, which thought was interesting. She's mad.
Mm.
Tempers were not balanced. All these tempers, right?
Oh gosh.
And he said pregnancy hormones.
Oof.
So that's from our boy Gibbs. But yeah, I don't know, man. I can't figure her out. Can't figure anyone out in this show.
Yeah.
Can't figure out Milchick.
Oof. I can't wait to get there.
Can't figure out Bert, Irv.
Oh, I can't get
Fields.
there. We're gonna get there. Let's get there.
Who do you want to talk about? Oh, we talked about Helena,
Yeah.
body and potentially two souls.
Yep.
Who's next? You want to just
I
talk about?
think Milchick, because
Milchick.
he did have a lot of screen time today.
It was pretty short, but
Powerful,
fascinating.
yeah.
Fascinating.
Yes.
So he calls in Miss Wong into his office, and he says something. He's talking about his review, right?
Yes. Yeah. Performance review.
Performance review. And he said, "I'm going to be busy the rest of the day, so you take over." And literally all he does is his 2 bits of feedback that he could change. Like, he
Yeah.
can't change anything about the Orpo. It's in the past. There's nothing to do there. The paper clips, which is, again, just so ridiculous.
It was so ridiculous.
He practiced so many pieces of paper
Oh,
Massive stats.
unreal on just putting them on the way
the
that
correct way.
Drummond instructed him to.
Yes. And
Oh.
with that same kind of tenacity, I would say,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
he goes to a mirror, turns a light on in his, like, I don't know what this was. It wasn't his office. It was like his back office. And the same line that he had just told Miss Wong,
Yes.
he, like, repeats it to himself and is basically, how would you say this, Justin? Like, editing it as he's saying it
So,
over and
yeah.
over
I was.
again?
Yeah. He was.
Correcting it slowly.
He was rephrasing it in.
He was refining it.
Yeah. Ooh. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you need to eradicate your childish foolery, folly. Yeah.
Folly or
Yeah.
something.
There you go. Childish folly. There you go.
And then, like, he probably said, like, 10 different versions of this.
He did.
And eventually just change one word here, 2 words there, switch it up. Like, and he basically refined what he was saying.
That's right. But he got it more like tempered, angered. Like he got as he went on. The intensity grew and grew, and like his eyes,
Red.
dude. Just looking into his eyes, dude. If Milchick does not win an award for this, the actor who plays him, dude,
Yeah.
it is unreal on how
Yeah.
dominant he is.
Wish Amato was here to talk about Milchick.
I know, dude. I know he is
Because-
so amazing.
It's his favorite character.
Yes.
Rightfully so. But yeah, dude, like I said last week, you weren't here, but I just want to know, what is, like, a guy like Milchick, and I said this about Cobell,
Right.
what is their drive?
I
Like-
mean, I feel like it's more than money. I mean, I feel like for Cobell, it was a sense of purpose in the quote unquote cult or religion of Kier. But I think Milchick's was that. But this season, it has definitely gone downhill with the fact that they are trying to like redefine the past through Milchick's reflection. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the motive is. It's not clear.
It's not clear, but nonetheless, his performances have been amazing.
Yes, agreed.
Amato didn't have many thoughts. He texted us some things. He didn't have many thoughts on Milchick, but he did say, I could watch Milchick and Miss Wong throw shade all day, every day. Dude. And what did he say to her? He's like, I just want to remind you that before you can, I think he said something like graduate from this fellowship. Does that sound right to you?
Something along those lines. Yeah.
Like, I have to give approval
Mm.
for Winterfield or something.
Yes, Winterfield.
What is
Weird.
dude, he said a bunch of words that I was like, what the
Yeah.
frick is that?
he has a problem with using big words. So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
It's true. So we didn't get much of Milchick, but it was I don't know, man.
Powerful. It was powerful.
Yeah, there's something about him that
Yeah.
just can't put my finger on, but it's amazing. Okay. Moving on from Milchick.
Okay.
How about our boy? You want to go Dylan?
Yeah, Dylan.
Okay. So Dylan is on the. We see actually Innie and Outie Dylan.
We do, yeah.
So we got Innie Dylan in like the break room with Helly and Mark S. Okay.
Whispering. They are whispering.
They're trying to be careful.
Yep.
He's telling them about the picture and the notes. And this is the only time. This is it. This is all we see of him interacting with Helly and Mark the whole episode.
That's it. Yeah.
The next time you see him,
he is with his wife, quote unquote, in the visiting session.
or is it his wife, or again his Outie's wife?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Even he said
he said that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about it, Justin.
Okay. Yeah, man. The session that he's having, they're just having normal conversation, and they're talking about him taking swimming lessons, and he's like, well, which ocean? He's like, no. She's like, no, in a pool. I thought that was just funny because his concept of water and swimming and stuff.
Right.
And she was saying, well, yeah, you went through a bunch of phases, woodworking, scuba diving, or whatever. And he kind of just doubles down on like the conversation they had prior of talking about like him excelling at things or whatever, right?
Right.
And he's like, well, maybe maybe my Audie's just trying to excel at something, and just showing her that maybe he's not a deadbeat, that she's leading him on to be the impression, I guess. And then he's like, would it be too much to try that hug thing again? I really like that.
That hug thing.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh my gosh, dude. And how awkward was the scene? Like it was like they scooch closer on the couch, and then
what was your first hug like?
You're right. I don't know. I don't remember.
It was awkward. It was awkward.
And they embrace, and dude, it was so strange, man. Dylan was enjoying it. He was breathing, like smelling her and seeing what it was like, and then takes a step back, and there's like this split scene of where she goes in for a kiss and kisses Dylan. But then they splice that in with Mark and Ellie getting it on in the tent. Oh, my gosh, dude.
A lot of kissing.
Yes. But, like, the conversations that they had and the looks that what she has talking to Innie Dylan compared to the talks that she has with Outie Dylan,
right?
Dude, I feel like it's unfair, dude. He is so filled with excitement and joy down there because she's new, right? But then if you think about it, on the outside, Outie Dylan, they have 3 kids. They've been through a lot. Like when you have 3 kids, trust me, I'm speaking from experience. Like you go through a lot, and sometimes that glitz and glam of like first dating your significant other, like that excitement is sometimes you gotta like fight for it, and it didn't look like they were fighting for it. And she enough to where she lied to him.
Dude, this is crazy.
And said she did not visit him today. I guess you were busy, or he was busy. She said. I don't know what the purpose was for. Do you think it's because she thinks she has stronger feelings for Innie Dylan than she does for Outie Dylan?
Of course.
And will try to leave Outie Dylan for Innie Dylan.
I don't know if she would try to leave. I don't know how that'd be possible.
I mean,
wait, explain that. I don't know what you're saying.
She can initiate to where the Innie is always the person, or
she's not gonna be able to do that.
I don't know, man. Maybe there's like
do that?
I don't think she. I mean, I don't think she can, but maybe she can put in a request or something like that. I don't know.
She might not even know that it exists.
True, maybe not.
How would Outie Dylan even know about that?
You wouldn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm just throwing.
He was
crazy
on the severed floor for the.
Yes, but the Outie was. He was naive. He was ignorant of what was going on, and he just took her at face value. It was canceled. He was feeding his kid. He's being present father. It looked like he was. I don't know.
So the first time he brought it up that we saw, she was like, "Oh yeah, it was good."
Mm-hmm.
You know,
played it off. Yeah,
played it off, And now she's like, oh yeah, they canceled it.
Yeah.
Said you were busy. Dude, it sounds crazy, but it's like she is
Playing with him.
cheating on her husband with her
husband.
husband's body.
Ooh.
But again, different person, different
different
soul.
being. Yeah.
Certainly different consciousness. We've confirmed that.
Yep.
We are avoiding the religious explanation
Oh,
as
it's
long
coming.
as we can.
It's coming.
We're gonna hold off a little longer.
Yep.
Gosh, Gretchen, man, this is
Yeah.
crazy. I don't know, like
I don't know. I'm interested to see where this goes. This relationship goes. Because right now I kind of feel like their storyline, even though it is interesting, I do think it is taking away from the Dylan we knew and loved from season 1. His involvement down on the severed floor. I don't know. I feel like he needs to be more involved with what's going on right now. But I still find his storyline very intriguing. I just feel like, as far as story goes, is this the right path for Dylan's character? That's where I'm at right now with this storyline.
the right path because you feel like it's taking him out of the.
He went from being the star of the severed floor by holding that pose for 39 minutes and giving everybody a chance to figure things out outside, or at least get word out. And that involvement, like, pivotal. You can't change that. Like, that's huge. To essentially being manipulated, nerfed, and just taken out of the whole entire picture.
He's sidetracked.
Yeah, because he's distracted. Milchek has successfully manipulated and distracted him.
So that's a win
from the
for
cause.
Lumen, right?
It is.
Yeah, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
You might not like it,
Correct. Yeah.
but it makes sense.
I get
You
it.
just have to deal with it.
Like I said, the story's intriguing.
You have to suck it up.
I'll suck it up, yes.
Yeah, it has taken him out of the fight in a sense.
Yes.
Which it felt like, after the, how do you say it? Death of Irving on the inside, right?
Yeah.
After Irving, I think it's Irving B. I think after Irv dies,
Yeah.
because we're not going to see any again, theoretically, potentially. It felt like Dylan was like, all right, I'm back in the fight. But you're right. Now it's like he doesn't want to lose his privileges of getting to see his wife.
Correct.
So that's going to come to a head at some point. Like, there's going to be the rest of the team finds out about that, or he has to give that up so that he can take that note and find that hallway.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah, because he said he left behind the picture because
Yeah.
he didn't want anyone to catch it on him. But is that the real reason? Or is the reason because he doesn't want to lose privileges? Like, he wants to continue to do that.
Question.
Because that's way more important to him.
It's a good question. It's a very good question. Yeah. I'd like to say that it feels like it's because he doesn't want to lose his privileges, which is sad.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Fortunately, for what he was telling Irv. So, okay, I'm trying to think. What else is there to talk about? Obviously, we're going to talk about Bert. I think the most fascinating thing is Bert and Irv and Fields.
Yep.
But is there something else? Oh yeah, Mark himself.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, almost dies. I know we talked about Helena earlier.
Yes.
The scene at the restaurant, but
yes.
He's getting reintegrated.
It's a process.
I think this episode, it actually opens with him recalling to Ragabi what he saw.
Right. He was describing the white walls of the severed
He'd
floor.
never seen before.
Correct.
Audi
Yep.
Mark.
Yep.
Mark Scout.
Yep, and his interaction with Gemma, like, that he saw, her telling him things that his Audi is good at, or that kind of thing.
Because he made the line like, she didn't even recognize me.
Correct.
Like, it's
Yeah.
literally Gemma there. So that was wild. Oh man, I just remembered something about Helena. I keep wanting to come back to her. Sorry, I'm gonna go back to her.
Go.
I never told my Mark.
Yeah.
But our listeners know we bounce all over the place. That's why you're here, right?
Ride the wave.
Right. Remember when she apologized? She was like, "I'm so sorry about your wife,
Yes.
Hannah."
Yes. Deliberately. Deliberately.
Gotta be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
For what purpose?
I think it serves two purposes.
Okay, let's hear it.
One purpose is it's her minimizing the, like, minimizing Gemma in his life so that she could easily come on in and take over, that kind of thing. Like, oh, she's not a big deal. Like, I can easily be your Gemma.
I'm so much better
yes.
than Hannah.
Correct.
It's Gemma. I'm sorry, Gemma.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yes, that's one reason, and another reason for that could be possibly that she is trying to avoid sparking anything in his mind that would lead him to suspicion. That's the other thing. Like, she's playing it safe because it is her company, that kind of thing.
What do you? I don't understand that.
Because she knows that Gemma still exists because she is fully aware of the wellness counseling down there,
right.
and so maybe she's trying to let on that she doesn't know who she is because she's still alive and she knows that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So she's like intentionally getting her name wrong to throw him off the scent that maybe she doesn't know that she's actually alive, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Because as of right now, she's alive from the season finale. Who knows if that information got out and back to Lumen up tops. So I don't know. Potentially.
Yeah, I don't like that theory as much, but that's okay.
Yeah, I like the first one better. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. 'Cause that one kind of sucked.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm here all day.
No. Okay. Also, by the way, Amato was saying in a text, he mentioned that this was kind of cool when Mark Scout, devouring his food. You actually see he has a plate and he's got 2 fortune cookies on it.
Oh yeah.
And
leave it to Shimado to come.
Yeah, I know. Shimado was like, for shattering maybe a visitor, Helena, showing up, or just the fact that there are 2 people inside Mark.
That's true. So good.
I thought that was really cool.
I think that's probably what it was, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think that's Ben Stiller, creative team. I think that was their thing.
Potentially so. All right, so back to just Mark in general. And really, when he leaves the restaurant, he's pissed.
Right, correct.
He's ready to get back in the fight. So he goes home, goes to Ragabi.
Sorry for being
a dick, right?
Yeah.
And he says, let's do it tonight.
Right now.
So what exactly, again, was she doing?
Okay, so the idea that they came up with to help reintegrate was to flood the chip, just to they injected fluids around the chip to just overstimulate it in hopes of drowning it out and potentially separating the sever or allowing the mind to come together to work because the chip is not fully functioning, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And so we see a surgery scene, essentially, right? They cut him open. There's a gaping hole in his head because of where they put the chip in originally.
Yeah.
Which is wild. So this is what they did to Helly in season 1 because we do see that clip. And Mark is laying there and he's like, how fast is it going to work? And then boom, he's slipping in and out. He's
crazy.
He's getting
he's tripping.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, it's like a crazy trip. And of course, there's a knock at the door, and Devin's there, dude. Of course,
had to be someone at the door.
Yes. Well, before that, what he sees is Helly looking down, and their session that they have in the tent in the office, to which he then sits up aggressively fast and says, "What the heck was that?" Like,
yeah.
And then he goes and Devin's talking to him. He is not doing well, and he freaking passes out and foaming at the mouth. And that's where last we see him, where Gabi comes up and she's just like, "Don't touch him. Who the heck are you?"
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So Mark Scout's dead.
Maybe.
No.
Maybe.
That'd be crazy. Just kill off your main character.
Yeah, why not?
Midway through season 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, he is in peril.
Yes.
Something bad's
It's not good. It's not good at all.
Something bad's happening here.
Yeah. But the scenes that they had with him flipping back and forth between Innie and Outie of the memories that he had.
Yeah.
Like, for example, he got a bloody nose in the severed floor when he was making out with Helly. And Miss Huang was giving first aid. Miss Huang was trying to get to the bottom of the bloody nose, and she said, "Did you hit him?" Like, to Helly.
Did you punch him?
Yeah, did you punch him? And she's like, "Oh, did you hit him today?" And she's like, "No, not today." Like, that's what she says. Like, and So, but yeah, the bloody nose is there. But while that scene's going on, like he's like swapping. He's like flipping back and forth and remembering it, and he's back at the reintegration, and his wavelengths aren't officially synced yet, but they're close, and that's where they come up with the idea of trying to drown out the chip. Can that make a difference? That kind of thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, Mark had a wild events this episode.
Yeah, Mark's it's kind of crazy. Like Mark S, he's hooking up with different Helenas and Hellies, and Mark Scout is drinking whatever that nasty stuff is in his fridge, and having seizures, can't sleep,
Yep.
getting stalked by a really rich woman.
Yeah. And dude, Mark S. Innie is living his life, man. He's living his best life.
Yeah, I mean he's the MVP down there.
But he is failing to get closer to finding out why Gemma still alive and what's going on down there.
So speaking of Gemma, let's do something that we haven't really done much here on the pod, but this is kind of cool. So this week, Justin, we actually got privileged to get an email from a listener, someone who's been tuning into the pod, which is pretty sweet. And honestly, we should probably encourage. I don't know why we never really thought about this.
Yeah.
Most cool things happen to us without us ever really thinking of them creatively. They just kind of happen.
Correct.
So shout out to our boy Kyle.
That's right, Kyle G.
Shout out to Kyle for sending in via email some thoughts and theories. He's watching Severance, and he's been tuning into the pod, so we appreciate you, Kyle. We're going to read a part of one of your emails. We got a couple emails from him. My favorite theory he had, it's really it's about Mark, right?
Yeah.
So
why is he important?
Yeah, why is Mark so important? So next couple of minutes, I'm going to read this this theory that he typed up. And by the way, if anybody else wants to do something like this, please do. All right,
This is really good. That's why he's getting the shout out here.
That's right. Yeah,
this is really good.
This is a really good. This is a really good one. Yeah, we get like hundreds of thousands of emails, right? And we don't have time to respond to all of them.
Right. We just picked the best one. Yeah.
But if you do want to respond or send your thoughts or feedback, you can email us at royalgeekpodcast@gmail.com. Okay. So here's what Kyle had to say about why Mark is so important. It seems obvious, right? He says Lumen has obviously had severed employees long before Mark started working there, which we're going to talk more about.
We're about to get there, yeah, 100%.
The grand finale of this podcast is going to be talking about Bert
yes.
and Irv. As far as we can tell, this is Kyle again, as far as we can tell, MDR has existed for a substantial amount of time as well. I believe Lumen's ultimate goal is to grant the Egan lineage eternal life. Now, I want to pause real quick, and I feel that. I've kind of speculated.
We're coming around to that.
Some sort of resurrection.
We've said this.
So it's similar.
Yes.
But his theory is a little different, but I like it. Lumen is trying to transfer the consciousness of past Egans into new bodies, reanimating them in a new way, which is pretty wild.
I know, yeah.
This is something about the severance procedure that allows MDR employees to see the four tempers in the numbers they are refining. Keir Egan was able to sum up the human brain into these four tempers. As the MDR team refines the numbers, I believe they are stripping a brain of everything that makes someone, quote-unquote, them, or essentially removing their consciousness. The ultimate goal? To implant an Egan consciousness into a new vessel.
So they can continue to live forever.
Vessel. Isn't that what Mark said?
That's what he said, yeah, our vessels. Yep.
All right, now that's really weird.
Yep.
All right, this is back to Kyle. However, this process has not been entirely successful until Mark.
That's right.
Here's where it gets crazy, y'all. Buckle in or buckle up. If we assume Lumen is in the process of body snatching, potentially targeting individuals presumed dead, then this could explain what happened to Gemma. But Mark is unique. He is the first person to willingly undergo severance while also having a loved one go through the refining process. I believe Mark's deep connection to Gemma allows him to successfully strip consciousness. This would mean Gemma becomes the first human vessel into which Lumen successfully transfers an Egan consciousness.
Ooh, man. Yeah, that's why Mark is so important, and that's why we've talked about this on the pod on why Mark is so important.
Yeah.
I think that was the reason that he sparked the email. And yeah, it makes 100% sense because he is the only one who has proven that it is possible to refine the human brain, and that's what I think he's doing. And Cold Harbor is potentially finishing that work with Gemma to implant a quote unquote Egan / Kier
Yeah.
/ something
Yeah.
into existence again. Wild theory. I love it though.
It's crazy. And I feel like Amato has said similar things. We told this to Kyle.
Yes.
But something I've never really kind of thought about is could they be trying? I mean, and that's what he thinks. Gemma's body being an Egan
A host, yeah.
would be just crazy.
It would be. Yes, it would.
Especially if because I've speculated that the board might just be like I don't know, like AI, like of like their consciousness is surviving somehow in a computer, and that's what the board is.
Is it? They can be Futurama style with heads in a glass jar floating in liquid.
Yeah, maybe. So there's something to that theory. So shout out Kyle, really appreciate that, brother. That was awesome. And again, if anyone else wants to send in thoughts or feedback, please email us at royalgeekpodcast@gmail.com. How about another theory?
Yeah, let's go for it.
You want another one?
I do.
All right. Our boy Ryan. Again, he was saying some things earlier. He says, "Here's my crazy theory. It seems like they are trying to awaken the 4 tempers in each of the innies.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of like babies as innies, so they have to kind of introduce life events to them in order for them to have better emotional responses to the numbers in MDR and sort correctly. Mark has had a lot of emotions: woe, dread, malice, and frolic. I wonder, since he's nearing close to Cold Harbor, they wanted to speed up his frolic response, and that's why Helena went down."
Ooh. Okay.
You notice he makes more progress after something heavy happens.
It's true. He sits there and uses that as a means of decompressing, I guess.
For example, Helly is in the hallway, sad, and he's typing away. Whoa, response. And maybe the final emotion they are trying to bring out would be malice, rage, which could be them telling him about Gemma and how they've been experimenting on her.
Ooh.
That would be crazy.
Yeah.
Then he's got to finish Cold Harbor to get her back. Would make sense why Milchek has had success, because he treats them like humans, thus getting the emotional responses and them finishing their work. Left field, I know. Well, Ryan, this whole show is out of left field.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
In the best way possible. So
Yes.
nothing wrong with that theory. That is interesting.
It is very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, there is kind of a correlation. Like he's like working hard when something
goes down.
Yeah.
He's goes back and sits at the computer, and he kind of uses that to just clear his head and get rid of all the things he's dealing with. Yeah, it's a good theory. I like it. I like it a lot. And yeah, I do think each of these refiners, they are going through different tempers right now. Like even Dylan himself, like he's kind of in a frolic stage right now, if you think about it.
I guess so.
And then with Irv gone, it was kind of malice a little bit, or I don't, not necessarily malice, but like, yeah,
I guess so.
it could be. I don't know.
Yeah, it was malice.
Yeah.
I'd say it was malice.
Okay.
Whatever.
But yeah, anyway, so yeah, they're inciting. I think that's something that Drummond would do. Like Drummond's the guy that pushes the buttons. You can see what he did with Milchek the other day.
Drummond's the guy with the keys.
Oh, yep. Here we go.
Shall we?
Let's do it.
You're not ready for this.
I don't think any of us are.
No. You are not ready for this. All right. So let's finish. I think this is the last thing to talk about. Irv heads over with a nice bottle of wine.
He did it. Yep.
He heads over to Bert's house. We meet Fields.
We do.
Which, another great actor.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
All those Fringe fans out there, they got wild. Walter.
That's right. Exactly. They're having a nice ham dinner, which they talk about ham in this universe as if it's Wagyu steak.
That's true. Good point.
It looks like they're having a good time.
They are all vibing. They are vibing.
They're vibing.
Bert is extra playful with Irv.
Yep.
In front of Fields.
In front of Fields.
Fields
And
is
Fields
even
kind of going with
yeah.
it.
He's going with the flow.
Fields is thinking, what might happen tonight?
Oh,
I don't like.
so?
There were some vibes there, like, what's Fields thinking, dude? I don't know. But and then at some point, Fields is just,
He
dude.
just opens up the hole and everything.
Yes, he's like, do you think the two of you slept together? Your innies at work.
Yeah. And then he follows it up with like, I believe the innies should experience love.
I'd want you to have fun.
Yes.
Like, dude, it was crazy. But let's talk about this. Irv asks a question. He says, "Bert, how did you get wrapped in a lumen?" And Bert responds, "It was actually Jesus that led me there."
To which Irv responds with Christ, like
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And Bert's like, "That's the one."
the one and only. Yeah.
Dude, okay, so here we go. This is just fascinating. So, in this universe, in this world where severance is a thing, because it's not, as far as we know, let's hope.
Oh yeah, I hope no.
Yeah, not in real life, but in this show, these two guys, Bert and Fields, they've been going to a Lutheran church. He mentions.
Yep.
And the sermon that day was actually talking about severance, which Bert said at the time was still kind of new. It wasn't very, popular or whatever. It wasn't really around. But and that the Lutheran pastor, I suppose, said something along the lines of, he believes the innies at work are their own souls.
Souls. Yep. They're their own souls.
Their own people.
Yep. And the outies.
And then the outies. So
They'll be judged
differently.
Yep.
And Bert believed that he was so bad. He lived scoundrel.
Yes.
He said that
Bit of a scoundrel.
That
Yep.
there's no way he could get into heaven in his eyes, the way he viewed it.
Right. And Fields wanted him to be there.
And Fields wanted him to be there. And apparently, I'm reading between the lines here. Agreed. Like, yeah, there's no way you're making it to heaven.
Yeah, basically.
Basically, the lines here.
He's like, yeah, you're right. You were a scoundrel.
Yeah, right. So the inspiration, if you buy it,
Yeah.
was that the inspiration, if you buy it, is that they wanted Bert to have a chance, or a version of Bert,
Yeah.
to have a chance to be in heaven. And this was his fresh start.
Yeah.
New lease on life, new chance.
And maybe any Bert was a good
Maybe
guy.
any Bert could be a good guy and be good enough to get into heaven.
Yeah. Well, when you're getting fired for inappropriate behavior, I don't know. we'll get to that.
Fraternization
Yeah,
with coworkers,
that's
right?
Erotic. That's what they use.
That's what, they did say
Yes.
erotic. Yeah,
Erotic. Yep.
Crazy. Okay. So first of all, a crazy discussion on what does that mean?
Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't know if I've ever really thought about it to this regard. So here's the thing: we've always addressed on this podcast that it's obvious the consciousnesses they're split.
Yes.
It's the same body, but is it a different person?
Right. Which they refer to
different
themselves
soul.
as different people.
They do,
Yes, because they're like your husband. Like even though it's Dylan,
right?
but they say, your husband, not me.
Ellie would say, or Mark would say, Mark has now slept with both
Yeah.
of these souls, if we're going on this, right?
Right.
But one body.
Correct.
Now, some people might not care about the whole spiritual nature of all of it. People who are listening, and that's understandable. But, and I'm not necessarily here to try to have a long kind of like response on this, but yeah, it's a fascinating conversation.
It is.
Like,
It is.
if this was real, would the innies and the outies, I mean, they're different people. Right?
Yeah.
They're different consciousness.
That's true.
So, I guess, is the pastor right?
I mean, in this world, it may be. This may be the case. Enough so where it inspired Bert and Fields to do the program, right? Like,
Inspired Bert to.
Well, and Fields to encourage
support it.
Yes, correct. Because not many people are supportive of the Severance program.
I think the pastor is right in the sense that. Here's my thing. If you're going to say there's two different consciousnesses,
yes,
it's hard to say that word for me. I guess you could. I mean, depending what you believe about souls, I guess I'm putting my cards on the table here. I guess I'd agree with that.
Right.
Now, I don't about getting into heaven or whatnot. That's a whole other conversation. We're not going to get into that. We don't have enough time to get into that.
No, we don't.
But I guess it makes sense for that to be the case. That there are, innie Bert, outie Bert, clearly two different consciousnesses, two different souls,
right,
alive in the same body.
Yeah.
Helena and Helly are radically different.
Yes.
If souls are a thing, which I believe they are personally, and in this show, again, whether you're listening and you believe they are or not, that's fine. But in this show, there's some people who believe that they are, and some people who believe they aren't. This pastor and Bert himself believe that. Fields believe that. I could see how they would get there. Is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Correct.
Right?
There's evidence that would point to it. Yes. So,
which is I would not have expected that to be
from the show.
Well, I wouldn't have expected that to be any character's inspiration to go.
Yes.
I was at church one day.
Yeah, the willingness to do the Severance program.
I was at church one day, and I was like, "Oh, that's my ticket. That's my chance to get into heaven."
Yes. And
what interesting writing.
It is interesting writing, and the fascinating thing about it all is that while this conversation is going on, information is given out freely by Fields, maybe a little too quick by Fields, where he says 20 years ago of being with Lumen.
Yep.
And Irv catches that. He says, "I thought the Severance program wasn't around until 12 years ago."
Yep.
And Bert tries to play. He was mistaken. You know how he gets when he drinks, that kind of thing.
So much so that he doubled down on it on the way out.
On the way out, which is very suspicious. Very, very.
So
very.
What's your theory?
Here's my theory. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. Bert is not actually severed, and he is working with the up-tops of Lumen, and he told Drummond that he was going to be there at dinner.
Boom.
Allowing Drummond to go into his apartment.
Absolutely right.
Yes.
That's my theory, too.
Well, there you go. Dude, Bert, why? Why? That's all I got to say is why. Do you think he was doing some recon when he was down in O&D and reporting back all this time? And they had to remove him from the situation just to see what the Audis were doing?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Could that also mean that he's not the only...
I think there potentially could be more.
I don't know about that, but it is suspicious. First of all, Drummond, where does he have all these keys?
That was a big key ring.
Massive key ring.
He has got keys for everything.
Freaking warden over here.
He had a key for the front door, and he had a key for this.
So
box,
that's what's crazy. Okay,
chest.
listen. That's what's crazy. Okay, that's what's. It's one thing.
Yes.
It's one thing to have a key for Irving's door,
but a chest.
But to have the key for the chest, here's my only theory on that. It was in his locker, and while they're on the severed floor, they're going into everyone's lockers. They're making copies of keys.
That's
thinking, I'm going to make a copy of this and figure out what it's for one day.
That's really good headcanon. That's a good job. I
can't think of any other way, any other reason he would have that key.
I can get behind that. That's a good one. But no, it makes no sense to have that key. You're right.
Yeah.
And I think I made a statement while we were watching. I was like, that's just unrealistic.
Because it's just so, dude. Yeah. It's just so crazy to have all those keys. Yeah. But dude, there's got to be a connection because Drummond just showing up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When Irv is at Bert's freaking house.
Soiree, man. He's out there with Fields and him, man.
They're drinking. They're having a good time. Fields is probably sharing a little too much.
Yes.
And man, dude, the heel turn for Bert.
I know.
This is real.
This is going to be epic. If this comes to fruition here,
yeah,
it's going to be absolutely insane. It's going to be wild.
So, some people could say, and I think Amato mentioned this as well. I don't know if he was saying that he believes this, but he mentioned this in his text. I think it's how I read it. Or Lumen is just lying about how long the Severed program has been going on.
I mean,
This could be the case too.
yeah.
Give it devil's advocate for Bert's innocence here.
Okay. So you're saying that Fields knows that it's been 20 years. It's been longer.
It's actually been longer,
Yeah.
but Lumen's only made it public for 12.
12, yeah. Interesting. That would definitely allow Bert to stay on the good side.
It's not as fun. Not as fun
Not
as
as
in theory.
fun. And this show feels like
Yeah.
it wants to have some fun.
The fact that
So-
they doubled down on it, on his
If he didn't double down on it, I wouldn't be so hard on this theory of ours. So
the fact that he doubled down on it, man.
yeah. Unnecessarily too.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have to bring that up.
Yeah,
Like,
what
was Irv?
What was he thinking? 20
Yeah.
years. He gets crazy when he drinks.
Yeah, that's
Don't listen to that. And then he's trying to woo him some more. And he's trying to woo him some more in the same breath. He's like, together sometime with Fields or just you and me.
And he's like
Flirting with this guy while his husband's in the
right.
the
But
other
then
room.
Irv says either way. And
Either
he's
way.
like, good.
Good. Yeah. First
Christopher
of all,
Walken.
Yes.
Oh my
having Christopher
gosh.
Walken back, great.
So
right?
amazing. So amazing.
Dude, is Bert? Gosh, on the dark side, bro. You with Lumen?
Jeez, man.
I'm trying to think back to like how many things Bert could have potentially learned on the severed floor.
Well, I mean, him and Irv had very intimate conversations with the paintings, and I mean, I think at least one episode, Irv was saying like, "Oh, they're off doing X, Y, and Z," and I just wanted to get out of there, that kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, potentially. Man,
Yeah, I think.
dude, this is a curveball.
Yeah,
man.
I think going back, if we could go back and watch season 1 again, I think we'd pick up on a few Bert-isms if he is actually suspicious on things. And that might explain why he was so bold to speak up when they discovered the other people that worked for O&D, and he just kind of like blurted out and just was kind of backing Irv. I don't know. There was like a speech he gave, that kind of thing, right? Like I feel like
Yeah.
that might explain why he was able to be so bold because he knows what's going on, that kind of thing.
Also, kind of feels like if you look at all the characters that are severed,
Yeah.
Helly and Helena,
Mm-hmm.
seems like some clear differences. Mark S. and Mark Scout, clear differences. Two Dylans, differences.
Yep.
Irvings, differences. When you look at just like Bert on the inside and the outside,
Pretty similar.
it seems pretty similar. Like
Almost the same.
dude,
Actually, they are the same.
maybe it's just hey, we're in theory mode at this point.
Yeah.
okay? I'm sure we're not the only ones thinking this way. There's probably other people out there, but it just felt too convenient for Drummond to just show up at this moment.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So now that could be that he just again for Bert's innocence
Surveillance.
here, surveillance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Simple as that.
he saw him leaving with a bottle of wine. Maybe that meant he's gonna be
out
gone for a while.
Yep.
Right?
Mhm.
But it just feels a little and dude, like, you know, it's not realistic. Irv, he's got a dog.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Drummond just shows up and
What?
the dog doesn't go nuts.
Good point.
Look, I got a dog. Like
They bark.
They bark.
That's very fascinating. Are we going to get a dog death in the next episode?
If we get a dog death, I'm losing it. Oh gosh, don't do that to me.
Yeah.
All right, Sandy, is there anything else we're missing?
Yes, I'm sure, but I
Anything else you could think of that we are missing?
Ooh, dude, it was some good nuggets here, man. This episode had a lot of, like I said, shotgun blast of information, man. There was just so much going on. I think with the little usage of Milchek, I think we're going to get a force in the next episode or after of Milchek just go. Like, he has now refined his speech to be a little bit more direct, right? And he was told to tighten the leash. We know this, right?
That's true.
And so, what kind of Milchek will we be getting this next episode? Because I feel like this was his completion. Staring in his
They're close.
yeah, him staring in the mirror and coming to this realization that like I just need to get things done, that kind of thing, right? Like if you pair him refining his statement down to just grow and the tightening the leash remark, dude, he is going to be wild the next episode. I think he is going to be. They're not people. They're not humans anymore. He is going to ensure that they are refining. They're going to stick to rules. There's not going to be a lot of creeping around. Like I think it's going to be very very fun time.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Crazy. Crazy, crazy. Okay, quick buy or sell. Ready?
Ooh, okay.
Buy or sell. Mark Scout, outside,
Okay.
is going to be in a legitimate hospital to start this next episode.
With Devin being there, I say yeah. I'll buy that.
But with Ragabi being there, I kind of don't want to buy it. Imagine
She's got equipment downstairs.
she's
right?
a doctor,
Yeah.
but Devin's like never seen this person before,
True.
doesn't trust anybody. How is she? I want to see that scene, that moment of Mark
Well,
about to die on
Devin
the
is
floor.
such a she's such a well-spoken, fierce person. Like, yeah, I think that's gonna be very.
I think Ragabi's going to win out because I think Devin also still doesn't trust Lumen, and Mark clearly trusted this person. I think she's going to realize that. Like, I gotta, like, if I call the police,
yeah. What
Lumen will know about
Lumen's
this.
Lumen's gonna know about it for sure.
So I'm going to say no.
Mm.
I'm going to say
No,
just going to take him downstairs and try to solve it.
I'm gonna stick with mine. I'm gonna stick with mine just because
Alright.
Devin's there. Yeah.
Oh, that'll make it interesting. That'll make it interesting for sure. Okay. I think it's time to wrap this up. This has been a great pod. Want to remind everybody who's listening to subscribe wherever you are checking us out, to share the podcast with your friends. Shout out to Ryan who wrote in. Shout out to Shimada who had to write in because he wasn't here. And also our friend Kyle. Thanks for sending in your feedback as well. If anyone else has any thoughts or feedback, hit us up. Email us, royalgeekpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on social media. And, be sure to come back next week. We will be reviewing episode, what I believe is number 7.
Yes.
All right? So come on back next week, and it's going to be great. With all that in mind, from my good friend Sandy, this is T-Roll, saying thank you so much for listening to the Royal Geek Podcast. We will see you next time, you peasants.